Well, the first returns are coming in on the WNBA All-Star voting. Of course, it will be in Indianapolis. And as you can imagine, Caitlin Clark is leading the All-Star vote. By the way, it looks like a massive turnout.
Angel Reese was positioned as the WNBA spokesperson. So why didn't she get in the top 10 of the All-Star voting? She received one of the lowest percentages among eligible players, 30.9%, from the floor, while Caitlin Clark received over 515,000 votes, leaving Reese far behind in terms of fan support.
Second straight year that Clark has led the fan voting. She was second in early returns in fan voting in 2024, but jumped to first with around 700,000 total votes by the end of the period. So I'm wondering, are we going to see 1 million votes this time? Because I saw somebody earlier that said so far voting is actually way up versus exactly where we was at this time last year.
Therefore, why are fans using their remote controls to cast their votes rather than the storytelling machine? Leave a comment if you thought Reese would rank higher before the voting totals were announced. Angel Reese is seemingly the face of the WNBA's branding, and you've seen her everywhere from ads to viral tweets.
This myth in the WNBA dump has officially been exposed. The myth of all myths, the deception of deception. For the better part of 2 years, maybe even 3 years, the mainstream media has been trying to convince us that Angel Reese is a huge star.
Talk shows to the news media, the message was clear. Angel Reese was supposed to be the face of the league. She secured big endorsement deals, her image appeared in national ad campaigns, and her story was featured on everything from sports talk shows to mainstream news. The media didn't just cover Reese, they promoted her. Sources like Forbes ran headlines referring to her as A.A. Wilson, the driving force behind the WNBA's growth. They even went so far as to exclude Caitlin Clark from the conversation, despite the fact that Clark was drawing huge crowds every night.
Some in the media even do investigative journalism and claim that Angel Reese is the face of the WNBA because she leads the league in followers on social media, along with missed layups and a complete lack of athleticism. Of course, the vast majority of her followers are bots and lonely men, most of which are not buying tickets or watching her games on television because they can't afford the 5 pesos a month to watch the Chicago Bravado on WNBA League Pass.
However, her college highlights were promoted on the league's official accounts, and she was featured prominently in interviews portraying her as the next big thing. Everything was set up for a celebrity debut, and it wasn't just the league or the brand's Angel. Reese capitalized on this trend by telling interviewers that she is the reason people are paying attention and that her legacy will endure.
We're talking about women's basketball, but you never would think that we were talking about women's basketball. People are pulling up to games. We got celebrities coming to games, sold out arenas. I know I'll go down in history. I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me.
She was promoted as more than just an athlete. She was a personality and a symbol of a new era for women's basketball. However, when the vote tallies came in, the scoreboard told a very different story, which we will discuss next. Despite the constant coverage and all the hype, the All-Star votes didn't match the narrative. That's correct. Her fearless personality and willingness to speak her mind made for great headlines, and the media ran with it. Fans aren't just taking the media at face value. They're making their own decisions, and those decisions don't always align with the headlines. This is demonstrated by the fact that Reese was unable to make the top 10, while Caitlin Clark was out there leading with 516,000 votes.
And there's a supposed, people keep telling me, supposed second most popular player in the league that doesn't look like the second most popular player at all. And in fact, a rookie I have been touting that is playing better than Angel Reese, Kiki Arifin. Well, basketball fans are showing up, and they have got her voted ahead of Angel right now. Angel is not in the top 10.
Therefore, why didn't the media push result in enthusiastic support for each positive piece about Angel? However, Reese Clark's story seemed to rely more on her reputation and the narrative that was created around her. The hype was real, but the connection with fans wasn't as strong as the media wanted everyone to believe. Reese Clark was out there giving performances that demanded attention, and Clark's in-court numbers did the talking. The Forbes story that highlighted Reese's contributions to the league's expansion while downplaying Clark's influence demonstrates how selective the narrative can be, even while fans are still watching the games and casting their ballots for the players who truly deliver.
According to Forbes, Caitlin Clark is not responsible for elevating this turd into the mainstream. The ladies responsible for elevating the WNBA are Angel Reese and the unknown face of the Las Vegas Anonymous Faces.
The discrepancy between media narratives and fan votes isn't just about basketball, it's also about trust. When a story seems contrived, fans notice and want to see players earn their spot rather than have it handed to them as part of a marketing campaign. The All-Star voting results show that, despite all the branding and publicity, Reese didn't place in the top 10.
To tell you where Angel Reese's place is, well, it's 13th place. And I can tell you right now, Jonquel Jones ought to be ahead of her.
What's actually happening then? Is there a discrepancy between hype and reality? Or is there something about Reese's game that doesn't connect? Sure, she has the headlines and the endorsements, but the numbers reveal something different about what actually occurs on the court, and that's where things get interesting. Breakdown of the stat sheet. Let's examine the actual statistics from Angel Reese's rookie year to see what they have to say about her prospects of becoming an All-Star. You may have heard a lot about her recovery, but what really transpires when you consider the whole picture?
Angel Reese is the most unskilled basketball player in the history of basketball, in my opinion.
Let's first discuss shooting. Through her first 7 games, Reese is hitting just 30.9% from the floor, which is not only below average, but also the second worst among 64 eligible WNBA players. This is a serious warning sign. It's difficult to argue for All-Star status when you miss more than 2/3 of your efforts at the rim. Post players are expected to be effective close to the basket, attempting high-percentage shots.
There is obviously no way Angel can compare to Caitlin Clark as a shooter or a passer. And there is no way Angel can live up to her dynamic social media / podcast presence as a shooter or a passer or even a shot blocker. She's blocked only 2 shots so far this season. She doesn't even do that.
One commentator claimed that her 4.2 of 7 performance against the Indiana Fever without Caitlin Clark on the court was absurdly poor. This isn't the type of play that excites fans or garners respect in the league.
She has energy, she has an attitude, she'll rebound through the basketball. Great. Nothing else. She has nothing. She's got self-awareness. She knows that she's not a very good basketball player.
But she leads the league in rebounds. You may be asking yourself now, even with all those rebounds, her offensive limitations are difficult to overlook because today's WNBA teams need more than just one-dimensional players. Efficiency matters, and when you rank 63rd out of 64 in field goal percentage, it speaks for itself. Her hustle and ability to recover missed shots are impressive, and she has a real knack for fighting through traffic and grabbing boards.
Not only is the self-proclaimed Barbie not in the lead, Angel Reese isn't even close to making the top 10.
Let's evaluate her against a few other elite forwards. In contrast, Kiki Arifan is averaging a double-double and earning about 213,500 votes, demonstrating that fans reward players with well-rounded games. These players don't just show up in one stat. They fill out the entire box score, which is what distinguishes them from someone who only dominates one area. Aaliyah Boston, who received about 447,000 All-Star votes, doesn't just rebound. She scores efficiently and defends at a high level.
7, 8, 9 on the list are Kelsey Mitchell, Sabrina Ionescu, and Lexington Hull. The following 3 are Kiki Arifan, Kelsey the Plumber, and Satu Sabali? You mean to tell me these unknowns are ranked ahead of the face of the league?
You can't ignore Reese's shortcomings, even if you concentrate on her qualities. Her anticipation and desire to outwork opponents under the rim have been commended by experts, But they also note that grabbing rebounds by itself is insufficient to lead a team or support all-out plays. Buzz for Stars Reese's numbers indicate that she is still hunting for that balance, and until she finds it, her effect will be minimal. The league is full of players that do a little bit of everything, and that is what fans are looking for.